So I was like sitting there in my coat with my hat on, trying to type something, and I took this. I don't take selfies a lot, but that one I did have to take, just to, show everybody how angry I am. So I took this, and I actually created the poster myself. I think this is the first layout I've ever done, and it's pretty okay. Hello, go ahead. It's not switched on. Ha, technical difficulties. No, you're not doing digital. I am now, thank you. So, yeah, maybe a few words about me. I've been here before, twice already, and I love it, and I always ask the guys to please invite me back to the stage. But, before I start ranting, a little bit of bragging: 25 years of advertising, the first 10 at Ogilvy, another 12 at other network agencies, 3 years at a place called Wrage antwort. If you know a little bit of German, you understand the joke, but I don't want to spend any of the time for this little bit of play on words. I've lived in Germany, in the US, that's where I was born. I lived in the US, in Switzerland, Turkey, and now I live in Georgia. I was at the Berlin School, I was a copywriter, and then, creative director and these things. Then I turned consultant, and now I am actually a CEO of Livingstone in Tbilisi. It's a great place. You should go there. One little story as an introduction. Yesterday, somebody was asking me, "So Forkel, what are you going to be? Are you going to be on stage?" And I said, "Yes, but this time it will be a little bit different. And I'm going to be like really angry. It's going to be a rant." And the guy actually said, "Weren't you the guy that talked about assholes 2 years ago?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Maybe there is a pattern." But before I go into it, maybe there is a need to say what a rant is. Actually, it's turning into some kind of comedy format at the moment, where guys are just basically taking their anger to the camera. A rant being speaking or shouting at length in an angry, passionate way. So, Steve just earlier kind of like upped the level for foul language. I might be slipping into some of this as well, because when you're angry, you're not talking about flowers and bees and birds and things. You talk about, shit that's happening. So, to give you an example, this is a guy that is actually pretty good at ranting. Come on, guy. Wow. Why is it not working, my friends? It did when oh well. Jonathan Pye, look it up on the web. He is like a professional ranter. Now, oh, please. Here you go. No, you don't. You're not doing digital. I have this little round thing going on and on and on. So look it up. He's got a few things to say about Trump and people like that, and he does it in a very angry manner. And so I'm going to do one of those, and I'm going to get fiery and angry. And why am I angry? I can tell you, because there's a lot of people walking around the planet that they say they're doing digital, and they're talking about digital. And to be honest, in my honest opinion, most of them are actually not doing it. Most of them are just talking digital, and and not doing any of this. And I'm very, very, very angry about it, because I think this is sort of like lying to people, lying to themselves. It's about bullshitting yourself, and it's about not doing what you say you're doing. And for me personally, that is absolutely not okay. It is actually, most of the stuff is just bullshit. And of course, yes, in an agency, we're sort of like being paid to do this, and in agencies, we're sometimes surviving because we keep saying that we can be doing things that we're actually not able to do, because then we can sell things more to other people. But to be honest, like I said, most of this is just bullshitting. So why the hell was the internet invented in the first place? And maybe a little point on the side, we're all talking about digital natives here. Who is a digital native? Who would call themselves a digital native? Huh? Anyone? Right, most of us actually don't really understand what they're saying. And most people actually think it is you're being a digital native when you were born at a time when the internet was already there, and you're basically growing up with the internet already being a presence in your life and in society. My interpretation of it is actually, no, actually, you know what? I am the digital native. I am more than fucking 50 years old. I am the digital native because I was there when it was born. I know a time before the internet, and I know what the internet was invented for, right? Because it wasn't invented for porn, right? It wasn't invented for people, being angry at other people. It wasn't invented for, looking at pictures and things like that. It wasn't really invented for anger either, but, at least that's one way of doing it, because that would be what the internet actually was invented for, to share information and to have conversation, right? Because somebody was sitting at a computer somewhere in the world and was saying, man, whenever I want to talk to my colleagues, I have to call them, and I cannot send them a file. I can maybe send a fax, but that's not really good. I want to do more. And so they said, why don't we create connections between computers so we can share information and have conversation, right? Of course, the first thing that got uploaded to the internet was the centerfolds of the Playboy magazine, that was the first images you could download on the internet, more or less. But before we could access it, it was actually serving a very, very important purpose. And that was this, right? So, next question. What is the purpose of digital marketing? Why are we using the internet for marketing and advertising purposes? Right? In order to bullshit people, in order to give them even more senseless information, in order to spam them even more? Was that really what we wanted to do in the first place? No, of course we weren't. The first thing that we actually wanted to do is to enable conversation and interaction between brands and consumers, right? That was how we wanted to use the internet for our marketing and advertising purposes in the first place. Are we doing this? Do you really think we are? I don't think so. And that's what's making me angry. No, we're not doing this. Partly, maybe, but what pisses me off is that we're actually not using the internet for what it was actually created in the first place, when we are connecting to consumers out there. We are not. We have digitally clueless marketing people beating up digitally clueless agencies because they are digitally clueless. That's actually what's happening out there. There's too many people who are talking about digital without knowing about it, and bashing people who also don't know shit about digital because they don't know shit about digital. And I think that's absolutely insane. I don't think that's good. I don't think you do either. But we have to check ourselves sometimes. And I was working for plenty of these agencies that, were talking about, oh, we're so digital, when we actually were not. I was doing a lot of this bullshitting myself, I admit. We have advertising agencies that always, since decades, repeat the same bullshit about being 360 degrees, with these presentations where you have these round things, and it says, oh, we're doing POS, we are doing PR, we are doing advertising, we're doing digital content marketing, yes, of course. We have a bunch of 3.5 million influencers by our fingertips. Is any of this true? No, I don't think so. No, but we keep saying this, and we keep putting this in our credential presentations, and and all we're actually really able to do in digital is fucking banner. HTML. So we have advertising creatives, and I'm not bullshitting you here because this is true. We have advertising agencies, creatives who are actually thinking they can do digital because they check their Facebook profile every other day. I've had these guys, who were sitting in the creative department, and when I said, actually we have to step up in our digital game, and they were saying, what are you talking about? And I said, we're not really doing digital. We're acting as if. And these guys were actually saying, but I am online. What the hell? Just because you're able to log in on Facebook, you're not doing digital. But that's actually the extent of knowledge that we sometimes have in advertising. I have the clicker, why don't I use it? I'm so angry. We have advertisers, I'm sorry, but yes, we have advertisers bragging about their huge share of digital advertising, when basically the only thing they have is, throwing away even, plenty of money for some utterly useless, banners and pre-rolls and shit like that. I have seen so many of them, walking, oh man, we are already doing like 60% of our marketing money is being spent on digital. And when you look at the numbers and look at what the hell they are doing, then it's just fucking display. They're just putting up some shit somewhere, and it's a banner here, a pre-roll there. They're extending their marketing campaigns from traditional channels to digital formats, and they do like a zillion banners and 5,003 pre-rolls, and they say, look boss, look, 60% of our money is going to digital. Whoa, man, I can't hear that anymore. It's just bullshitting yourself, and I will tell you why. I'm pretty ranting already, am I not? So, we have digital companies acting as if they're suddenly the center of the creative world just because they manage a shitload of money, on digital channels, for placing, and I mean placing, substandard digital advertising formats. I can't hear it anymore that people are saying, the greatest advertising companies on the planet. Have you heard this before? Yeah, right? Where the hell are they doing anything that is, creative in any way? Where are they really creating something other than advertising for themselves? They are just media companies. They are not creative companies, they are media companies. They're just making a shitload of money because they're providing space for other people to put their shit on the web. That's what they're doing. They're not they're not creating anything, they're just giving you space. That's just like you're having a parking lot for people to put their cars in, and you're saying, I create cars. No, you're not. You just have a fucking parking lot. I love this. And then you have these digital advertising agencies that don't even have a single copywriter in their, creative departments. And that's not the exception. Let's get back to the very first point, about the internet having been invented to create conversation and to share information. How can you have a fucking conversation if you don't even have someone that can fucking write? If you don't have a copywriter, how do you want to create meaningful messages? And when I walk over to these digital agencies and they say, can I talk to your copywriter? And they're like, what? I'm like, who writes your shit? And they're like, well, sometimes the account guy, sometimes it's the art director, the designer. And I mean, excuse me? It's not like anybody can just write advertising copy just like that. If you want to create meaningful messages in the advertising space or anywhere, that's like you're going to a magazine and who's writing your articles, and they're saying, sometimes it's the guy at the entrance, sometimes it's the janitor, sometimes it's the guy that manages our car park. He's pretty good. Fuck, no. They don't have copywriters, and I'm like, you're missing out on the very first point that is of relevance in the internet world, is that you exchange information, and that is actually being produced by people who are professional about this. So these are things I'm really super angry about, and I say, shame on you, not on you personally, but all of these people who are doing this. I don't understand it. After 25 years of advertising, I don't really understand why this is happening, because we're going away and further away from what people really expect of us. But yeah, let's put some numbers on the table. Because I can rant forever, and you will be saying, oh man, this guy is putting up a pretty okay show, but there is no relevance to it. No, my friends, I'm going to hit you with some numbers. These are US numbers, but who cares? I mean, this is a global place, you know, this is what's happening. The black stuff is the total advertising spend in the US, and of course it's going up and up and up because there's more and more media being created. And the white one is the share of digital. The digital ad spend is going, you know, from 2015, 32.7, so we're going up all the way to, we're here, like almost half. And by 2021, we're going to be at a place where more than half of the money that is being spent for advertising is being spent on digital. Not a bad thing as such, is it? Well, then take a look at this number. This is the share, you know, the total spend of advertising in digital, right here, going up, and this is the share of display. So, more than 80% of the total spend, of all the money that is being spent on digital, is being spent on display. Right? Please keep this in mind. This is the important fact at the moment. You know that we have more than 83% of all digital spend is going to display advertising. Does that sound like a stupid idea? I think so. What the fuck? Why are we doing this? I really don't get it. Because what exactly is digital display? Let's please take a closer look at this little word, digital display. What is display? Display. It's traditional advertising. It's what we've done all the time. It's showing shit and then hoping people will see it. It's showing shit and then hoping people will have, you know, some kind of different decision when they go to the supermarket to buy stuff. It's hoping. Display is just showing stuff. Again, what was the internet invented for? Exchanging information and having conversation. Is showing shit anyway like exchanging information? No. Is it a conversation? No. We all keep bashing that the traditional way of doing advertising is just one-way communication. And then we say, oh, let's do a lot of digital display, which again means just showing shit in other places, which means the internet. But we're doing the same stuff we've always done. There's no difference, not at all. And I'm pissed off about it, as you can hear. So, wait a minute, people will say, wait a minute, I can interact with digital display. I can actually click on something and it will lead me to another place and I can buy something there and I can gather information and I will be super much smarter than before. And then I will make a purchase decision on the internet and then I will buy something that is going to enrich my life. Is this happening? Sometimes, yes. Still, maybe you have, but most of the people here in the room will have not really been clicking on all too many banners lately. Most of you people will probably not have done anything when they saw a pre-roll other than skip. Right? That's what happens. Have you ever seen any piece of native advertising where you were saying, oh damn, I didn't expect this additional information. I really have to click and see what they are offering me? No. Native is one of the worst pieces of advertising I've seen in my life. I'm sorry. I will show you some. But first we'll look at the interaction rates. I mean, these are click-through rates on different pieces of digital advertising. You know, 0.03% of all people click on an HTML banner. Yes? Yes. And even for rich media, it's twice as much. Right? Man, we go all the way up to 0.06. That's what I call bullshitting the people that we're saying we're actually interacting with the customer when we're putting up a banner. That's just bullshit. That's a blatant lie. 0.0, the average is somewhere around 0.05 because most of the advertising is actually being done down here. Most of it is HTML. You know, so even if you get all the way to custom in-page advertising at 0.08, that's just a small amount of what is actually being put on air. So, no, my friends, how the hell can anyone talk about the ineffectiveness of traditional media, and that you need to switch from digital over to digital when you actually look at these numbers? More than 80% of all the spend that is going into digital has an interaction and conversion rate, no click-through rate, of 0.05%. TV is dead, yeah, but sorry, these formats are just as dead. You have to be actually very much smarter than that in order to really, really, really move anything anywhere. So what I'm saying is, we have come to a point where we even talk about don't even talk about this much anymore. The numbers I just show you, most people, they won't show it to you anymore. They will talk about ad impressions. 5 or 6 years ago, this expression, ad impression, didn't even really exist yet, and being a ranting old fuck, I'm saying, actually, I think that somebody invented the word ad impression simply because it was too embarrassing to talk about click-through rates. Because it looks much, much better when you say, oh, we have 150,000 ad impressions. What is a fucking ad impression? I mean, really, what is an ad impression? Every time a user gets the chance to see an ad that was loaded from an ad server. That is basically the definition of an ad impression, right? So, no one counts clicks anymore. That's not connected to an ad impression. It's just the chance to see. The opportunity. So there are no clicks counted, there is no interaction whatsoever, and no one knows whether you people who have actually loaded the page where the piece of advertising was displayed actually did look at it. You don't know. So if you have 150,000 ad impressions, that does not mean that these 150,000 people have even seen the ad. Okay? That's pretty drastic, right? I mean, how do we talk about the effectiveness of digital advertising when we don't even know whether the people are fucking seeing what we're doing, and we're actually bitching about, oh, we don't know whether the people actually see the TV commercial because they're probably out pissing somewhere or getting something from the fridge. Well, you know what? It's the same with this. It's no difference. Acting as if there was really a genuine difference between those two is just bullshit. I'm sorry, it's just a new kind of wrong direction here. Back to the clicker, it's better. So that's exactly the same way we measure traditional, and I am not impressed by ad impressions. Absolutely not, I am not. So do you really, really want to call something involving when 99.5% of the people are not even reacting at all? No. That's not involving. Hell no. It's absolutely not. And we have to be smarter, we have to be more inventive, we have to be more creative. I am not impressed. And yes, this may be subjective, but I gave you at least a little bit of food here regarding numbers, whether, that should get you at least thinking a little bit. And if I want to do anything at all today, I just want you to start thinking about what you are doing in digital in the future. I can't do anything more than that. Have you ever seen this thing? Right? I mean, funnels. Marketing people love funnels because, up there, there is the world, it's up there, it's all the people on the fucking planet. And you basically want to squeeze them all the way through here because this is where the money comes out, right? So, what we just learned, basically, that 83%, is basically spent up there in the awareness, because we're not going beyond awareness when we're doing digital display. There is no consideration, really. Consideration is just basically how long does it take till I click to the next page that I'm really interested in. There's no conversion. You don't create loyalty that way. Absolutely not. So for me, it seems like I need awareness. I understand, we all need that, And if I want conversion, I just need more awareness, right? And if I want people to be loyal, if I want them to be buying, I just spam the shit out of them. and I actually follow them on the internet. If they don't buy the product on the first click, I just follow them to the next page and say, here, I'm still there, buy my product. They're stalking me already. Do you really, really think that this is the way we should be doing things? I don't know. Ranting. So I want a new definition of what digital advertising really is. I want it to be connected to what the purpose of the internet is, and not anything but that. Because I think that display advertising is basically nothing but traditional advertising on a different digital platform. You're doing the same thing in another channel. I know I'm being radical, but still, we're talking about 83%. Well, you can do a lot with the other 17, but I'm not sure if this is enough to really get anyone going. So let me just, think about what is if your budget has a high share of digital, and it's basically all display, that's all I'm saying, then you're not really doing digital, you're basically doing traditional on a digital platform. And that shouldn't be what we're doing. Let me just show you some kick-ass content advertising, because these are the formats that we are talking about. And maybe, I'm not saying that they're absolutely not effective. I'm actually not even saying that they're not cost effective. But, just remember, when you look at the numbers, whether you're really in control of them and whether you're really getting all of the information regarding the effectiveness. But is it really effective when you are in this kind of environment? This is CNN. This is the CNN.com webpage. And this is the kind of content that I get on an average kind of article that I click on. Every driver in Georgia should have these night sunglasses that make you look like you're a gigolo from Idaho. Fuck, I'm sorry, no. This is not your kind of environment. And there is this wonderful webpage called simplediscountfinder.com that tells me that there is a super cheap drone that's selling like crazy in Georgia. Oh fuck, I gotta get one of those. That's content that is being displayed on CNN.com. I didn't go to any crap pages or something. So you go to the next website. I don't even know where it was. I think Time Magazine or something like that. Oh, damn, it's those glasses again. Woo! They must have really thought that I'm on the road at night all the time, so I need these fucking glasses. Every driver in Georgia should have these night glasses. They are making you look like you're a complete idiot, Play this game for 1 minute and see why everyone is addicted. And of course, they know a little bit about me. They do. Because they have 20 superfoods for people over 50. Thank God. They must have somehow found out that I turned 50 like 20 years ago or something like that. So, yes, people are doing this because it is making them money, right? Just like people who are spamming your email account are somehow making money of this. If they're not getting kicks out of it, I don't know, but people are making money of this, but those are not necessarily the brands that you want to be associated with. This is from the #1 information website in Germany, Der Spiegel. I mean, it's really, everybody reads that in the country. And this is an article about the Americans financing atomic power plants in Russia, which is a pretty interesting article. But I find it interesting that in an article like this, they want to give me like additional content that might be interesting for me, right? So they place this native advertising. And at some point in my earlier life, I was thinking that native is something where people are interested in something, and I can put my ad in there because I offer something that is somehow connected to the content that is being displayed. But please tell me, when I read about nuclear plants in Russia, why the hell are they telling me that it's super easy to stop smoking? I don't get it. This is not what should be happening. You know, I'm really, plus, you know what, I haven't been touching a cigarette since 15 fucking years. I don't need to stop, I already did. And yes, I may be a little more angry than other people about this, but you know, you don't really, nothing's happening there. All right, I'm gonna punch somebody. I'm going to punch these idiots who put this up. I totally am for people for quitting smoking, but I don't know how it's connected to nuclear power plants. I really don't. Right? So, you know, do you really think that this is how you want to advertise for your brand? Do you really want to do that? Is that really what we should be doing in the internet? Is that really it? You know what I think? This is bullshit. This is not what the internet was invented for. That is just not digital, it's crap. And even if your ad is not crap, it is going to be next to crap. And you don't want a placement like that. So, yes, I understand. It's a beautiful idea. It's a beautiful idea to place your branded content next to an article that is somehow talking about something that is related to your product. The reality is this is not happening. It is not happening. What actually is happening, that again, people are taking their money to a media agency, and the media agency is going to say you need some digital channels because you want to reach your target group better, and so you should put it on this magazine, and you know, that pretends to be somehow connected to the real content, but is actually advertising, and we have to call it advertising and market as advertising because it's advertising, and it's not okay to fool the people, right? So it's exactly the same thing, and to be honest, it was the worst. You know, actually, you know, the guys who were doing this back in the days, I think they're still working in advertising. I think they work in, creating native advertising for digital. So we really, don't get me wrong. I'm not promoting traditional advertising or traditional channels. I'm not doing that. You know, I'm not one of those old school fuckers who says, traditional advertising is not dead. That's not the point. That's really absolutely not the point. All I'm saying is, you know, that we have to think differently about digital because we are thinking traditional about digital, and that's not a good idea. I really don't think it's a good idea. What I am saying is, if you can spend a shitload of money on useless digital display, you can invest a shitload of money on owned media, on stuff that you really are in control of, and not like give it to Zuckerberg. Why? I mean, yes, you can. I'm not saying Facebook is shit, but I'm saying, you know, you have to go deeper. You have to go, you know, and no, social media channel is not owned media. I mean, for those who haven't heard it, you don't own Facebook, right? And you don't own your profile. They can do with it whatever they want. If Facebook dies tomorrow, your profile is dead and all your content is dead. You don't own that. It's gone. So, you know, but yes, you can use social media. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. There are very, very fine ideas about how to use social media, and Volvo Trucks is a wonderful example. I mean, I know I'm not going to go any deeper in this, but check it out. Volvo Trucks, you know, Epic Split and all of this. These guys have 290,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. I mean, that's sort of like every fucking truck driver on the planet, or whatever, I don't know. But they've actually made it this far. I am absolutely in awe of this, and I totally love it, because this is what I call digital advertising, because all of the content that is being produced in order to be put on this channel is being produced by Volvo Trucks. Or at least, you know, the people Volvo Trucks works together with in order to produce the content. But yes, it's a digital channel, and they don't own it. The problem is, if you are on these channels, you don't make the rules, you don't make the deal, whatever they think they need to do, how much they want to charge, you have to live with it. You either leave if you don't like it, or you just shut your face, right? No one leaves, of course. Or are they? This is from the news just like 4 days ago. Lush, UK, they have closed Facebook, they have closed Instagram, they have closed Twitter. They have just said, enough! We don't want to do this anymore. They've actually closed these accounts for good. Quote, "We are tired of fighting with algorithms and we do not want to pay to appear in your newsfeed." That's debatable, but it's a statement. And here's another statement from Lush. "We decided it's time to bid farewell to some of our social media channels and open up the conversation between you and us instead, you being the customers of Lush. So please, read this and understand that Lush is closing social media to open up the conversation between their customers and the brand. This is interesting, at least, I would say. I'm not saying, that suddenly everybody's going to leave Facebook or something like that, but something is happening. And, this may be a difficult sentence, but this is the gist of it. If digital is all about being social, and a company feels that they need to quit social to be social, then social isn't digital. Let this sink in for a second, Social media has not done the job of being social in an interactive way. They were not able to have a relevant conversation with their customers on social media. And that's, for me, is completely ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So if you are on social media, you should be able to socialize with your customers. What is Lush doing instead? Lush is actually giving their employees a social media kit so they can dress their personal profiles so they can be identified as people working for Lush, and people can directly talk to them. I don't know if that's a really, really good idea. And I don't think if they got the point, but it can be a solution for a company where you can totally rely on the fact that these people are going to react in a proper way. But, social media has always been about letting go of control, and maybe we have to let go of even more control in one of these cases at some point, right? So, if you really, really want to communicate with customers, then do it directly without defining the rules, and opening the hand even for it and cashing in on it. Social media channels should be added and should not be the center and the only source of conversation with your customers. It should not define your connection to your customers. That's what I mean. Have a website. Have a website that is really addressing the needs and the passions of your customers. Have real conversations with them, and not just uploading another page on their profiles. Create meaningful content for them, and do it yourself. If you own it, it's yours, and you can do with it, and you can learn from it, and and not just like 0.05, but it's really cheap, and we have a few click-throughs, and we did sell. Oh, come on! You should really be more ambitious than that. So what is all the ranting for today? What is the benefit? Actually, I feel better now. I really enjoy this. And I'm happy it turned out the way it did. But what I really want you to do is, within the next day, is really go back to your desk and ask yourself to take a really good look at your digital activities and check yourselves whether you are really doing digital in a way that the internet was supposed to be used. And if you're not, maybe doing a little bit of traditional advertising on digital channels. Just check it. Maybe you're doing everything right. Maybe you have superior interaction rates. I don't know. But do you? Do you really know if you are really spending on stuff that is relevant and interactive and converting people to customers? Are you really spending enough on loyalty and all of these things? Or are you really just hoping that plenty of awareness will at some point, by some kind of magic potion, turn into, people into customers? Just check that. And if you do that, I have done everything I could today. And if you don't, I come to your office and rant you into submission. Thank you.
Есть вопросы в зале?
My name is Rina, and it's not really a question, but an opinion. It seems that you were talking about just don't do a bullshit, and it doesn't matter where you're doing a bullshit, in digital or in traditional media. If you are professional enough to understand what you need just now, a good, for example, context advertising with the good targeting, when you understand really who's your audience, and when you're, for example, showing new shoes for a girl who is looking for new shoes, or you are doing something really ununderstandable like you just show us in Spiegel. And in the same time, SMM, it's something that you can't ignore now, and it's the it seems the main channel of promoting things. Every Belarusian bank can tell you that they are really social and not only acting in social.
First of all, now I don't have to rant anymore. I feel nice.
Great, I can recommend you a good medicine.
See, like I said, I would rather shake things up than, put you to sleep, first of all. The second thing is, I clearly want to stress once again that I am not in any way promoting traditional media channels. Absolutely not. That's stupid. Like I said before, there are reasons why people don't watch TV anymore, and most of it is connected to advertising. That is shit. All I'm saying is that if we want to use digital to be part of relevant communication towards our customer, then we should do a lot better than spending 83% of our money in stuff that is purely display.
That's true.
That drives me crazy. I know that there is another 17% that is spent on relevant stuff, and I know that there is a lot of really interesting stuff being done on social media advertising. Yes.
With good quality.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it is all shit. I'm only saying that there must be a reason why there is just 0.05% click-through rates. I am not the first person to tell you that banners are dead.
Well, they're not.
Well, they're 99 point.
It doesn't depend
No,
on banners.
I'm sorry, but they're 99.95% dead because they're not doing anything. So, but I'm not. That's not the point. What I'm saying is that we need to be a little bit more, closer to what the internet was supposed to be. Let me give you a little story. Please, it's just one or 2 minutes. I was working in a digital agency in Berlin last year. And they are nerds. I mean, they really know shit about digital that I will never know. And I was only wanting to do an internship because they are much deeper into digital than I am. And they get this brief from a client that is, I tell you, at home in the digital world. And they wanted to do advertising for one of their products, which was a TV series. No, not TV series. Actually, it's one of those people, the platforms where you can watch without the advertising. It's an American company, blah, blah, blah. So what they briefed this agency to do digital advertising for them, and they briefed them very specifically to do banners, right? And they actually told them how to do the banners. They said, you take this visual, you take our logo, you take starting December 26th, and then the name of the series and a little tagline that is connected to it. And then, of course, you are going to link forward to the website. And I said, how is it possible that I'm working in a digital agency and they're asking me to do a banner and they're actually telling me to turn the TV poster into a banner? That is boring, and this is not, for me it's inexplicable. So I said, let's do something different. Because this was an ad about a series about relationships, men, women, the thing. And I said, let's do a banner on Tinder. Actually, it was on their list. That was, yay, a banner on Tinder. That's already like, smart relationships, So I said, let's do a banner where we do a chatbot within the banner. So anyone who might be interested in the series is actually able to talk to the guy that is the main person in this series. And the chatbot is actually written so he's like this guy, and you can talk to him and you can ask him anything you want. So we programmed a little chatbot, and we're actually able to place it into the banner. And yes, it was a banner, but at the same time, it was something that was interactive. It was something that was relating to these people. It was something that was relating to the content of the series. And guess what? 25% interaction rate. Whoa! Suddenly we created something that had relevance and that had some kind of interactive content thing, and suddenly it was working. I love digital advertising. I love it so much that I want to do more than just dumb banners. And I'm saying you all should love digital advertising and do more. Maybe you're doing wonderful things. I can't say I didn't want to offend you or something like that. Please don't get me wrong. Do digital, but base it on owned if you can. Build it. Volvo Trucks has been doing this for what, 10 years or what? Man, you don't do this overnight. And if you're doing it already, I congratulate you. Don't put your money into traditional, but also don't put it in traditional on digital. That's all I'm saying. So that was a very long answer. I hope it helped.
Thank you very much. I want to ask you, what do you think about really aggressive ads? The strategy when advertising is everywhere in films, YouTube movies, it's all typical all the time, everywhere, its steps follow you everywhere. It's really very irritable, but they say that it works, and that is an unusual strategy. What do you think about it?
Yeah. I don't like to be followed on the web, but maybe I'm old school. Maybe some people have no problem with this. I think that there are not enough creative people in the advertising industry yet in order to come up with interesting solutions. What you're describing is a technique. What you're describing is a technology. What you're describing is something that has been created because we were able to do it. The only reason why people are being followed on the web with the brand that I just clicked on, all of this stuff is basically just happening because we can. It's not based on a creative idea. And it's not used as such. It's just basically, following me and being, nasty and being like nagging. It's like dad, like little kids, And but your kids are okay to do that. Brands, I don't know. But for example, I was just giving the example about the series. The guy in the series, he was a stalker. And I found it super interesting that what if we follow people on the web, and this guy is the stalker. So if you go from a travel website and you go to another website, and suddenly there's a banner, and the guy says, it's the guy from the series popping up in the banner and saying, "Oh, so you want to go to Martinique? Last summer, I saw you, being really happy by the beach. I think that's a good idea." So it's not the ad that is stalking you, it's the stalker from the series that is stalking you from one website to another. That's a creative idea. I like that.